John chapter 15, verse 18. So still sitting in the bus now and waiting for our turn to get into the ferry. I don't know how long it will be before we get on the ferry. So yeah, you can use the time wisely and continue to record. Verse 18. If the world hates you, know that it hated me before it hated you. Okay, so Jesus is just saying that if they hate you, then it ought not to come as a surprise to you that they hate you, right? Because before they hated you, they hated me. And actually the reason why they hate you is going to hate you, is because they hated me first. Verse 19. If you were of the world would love you as its own. But because you're not of the world, but I choose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Okay? The world hates Christians. Again, I've said in the introduction, and partner, I've said this so many times, and I've mentioned to so many people, this idea of Bible scholars writing in the commentaries that they can't understand the Preparatory Psalms because they are not the church in America or not persecuted, for example, and therefore it's difficult to understand this. And I always think, like these words of Jesus, if you were of the world, they would love you, right? As his own, because you are there, you belong to them. But because you're not of the world, like Jesus said here, and they hate you. The world hates you because he chose you out of the world, so they hate you. So if you always I'm in this Bible school, I can't understand how nobody hates me, right? I always say you need to really seriously ask your question why that is, because Jesus said that the world will hate you. There's no other way about this, right? The world will hate you because you're not of this world, because he chose you out of this world. So there's not a lot of things that we, again, from this verse that we can learn. We are, as Christians, those bearing fruit, those branches in him, not those chucked out because we don't bear fruit, we're not part of his. Those branches that are chucked because of it, they are loved by the world because they belong to the world. Their deeds are evil, right? Plain simple. And but since he chose us, remember as well he said earlier that he is the one who chose and then appointed to do the good deeds, okay, to bear the fruit. So if he is the one that chose you out of the world, because he did this, right, because of this, okay, the world hates you. So he's choosing of you, making you his child, will make the world hate you. So you're either the branch that's in and bearing fruit and then hated by the world, or you are the branch that doesn't bear fruit, who's cut out and thrown in the fire. Again, I said this is not here about heaven and hell, but ultimately, if you're not his, then you are of the world and you will end up in hell. Okay? Maybe not in fire burning, but might be, maybe not, we don't know, but under the wrath of God. Okay, just drinking some coffee as well while waiting. At least a little bit easier drinking the coffee now because we're not all over the place. So yeah, I want Bible scholars to think, Christians in general think that the world doesn't hate them, to really ask themselves the question why the world doesn't hate them. And Jesus said, you're not of the world, I show you out of the world, and therefore they'll hate you. You kind of need to ask yourself that question. It's a serious question to ask. So, if I was a Bible scholar, I might start thinking about that question a lot more, about why I can't understand the Preparatory Psalm or whatever like that. Okay. Verse 20. Remember the word that I said to you. The servant is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they kept my word, they will also keep yours. So, again, reiterating, saying the same thing, just in a different way. Right? The world hates you, previous verse, because he chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Now he's saying, remember, The servant is not greater than his master. It's not contradictory with what he said earlier concerning he's calling us friends because he was speaking in different context. Now he's speaking again about the context of servant and master. Okay, the servant is not greater than the master. Why? They persecuted him as the master, then they will persecute you. Okay, that's just that. That's what you ought to expect. That is what you ought to expect, right? And this is well the explanation to the original readers that, oh well, no, if we're going to, then we are going to be persecuted. Well, this is why we are persecuting because, right? So again, as a Christian, if you're not persecuted, you're not hated by the world, then you really need to ask yourself the question, why? But there's good, if they kept the word, they'll keep yours. And that's the other side, right then? So the world will hate you, they will persecute you. But those who keep those appointed, okay, here we're going, I guess now going to the perishable get out. Those persecuted you, those they will hate you, they'll persecute you. But then there are those who keep the word, like they're keeping Jesus' words. Like they, for example, not Judas, the others, keeping Jesus' word. Okay, like true believers keeping the words of Jesus. Keeping Jesus' words, they will keep yours as well. And that's a great thing. They're not keeping your words because they're keeping your words because it's Jesus' words. Verse 24, 21. Verse 21. But all these things they will do to you on account of my name, because they do not know him who sent me. Jesus just giving explanation. They will hate you, they will persecute you. Why? On account of my name. So then stand up for the truth, stand up, you teach what Jesus taught, they will hate you because of Jesus. Why? Because they do not know him who sent me. They don't know the Father. These original readers reading this later on, people reading it today, the reason they hate you is because they hate the Son. Why do they hate the Son? Because they don't know the Father. They don't want to know. They claim they're looking for God. They're not looking for God. They're lying. So they hate. That's just that. That explains everything. Okay? Because they don't know the Father. Knowing. Again, it's about knowing. It's not hidden knowledge. It's clear. It's their choice to not know. It's not that this knowledge is hidden. They choose to not know because their deeds are evil, because they don't want to know. That is a problem. Therefore they reject you. Therefore they hate you. Therefore they rejected Jesus.